Now Red Bull, or should I correct myself and say, you know, just Max Verstappen. He's dominating the sport and he's all happy.
No, I'm just kidding.
Sergio Perez, a supposed good driver.
Stop the cap.
His teammate is meant to be doing good as well, but he isn't. He isn't helping anyone in the Constructors' Championship, and not even himself in the driver's standings, because, let's face it, he's awful.
You're trash, kid.
On occasions, he's slower than my tractor, and he's matching the Alpine's pace in P19 and P20, and that's embarrassing because the Red Bull is like, what, a second faster than any other car on the whole grid? But Max Verstappen might be leading every single race and daydreaming about how he ruined Kvyat's career, Albon's, Gasly's, all in Red Bull. And let's not forget that he took away Kvyat's girlfriend and his child. Pretty shameless. So, you know. But besides all of that glory, something has to be talked about, and it's the fact that Red Bull, their driver choices, everything about the drivers is just absolutely Subscribe and like, please help me, because ideas have to be done. Crazy ideas, I say this all the time, but they will happen. All of them, every single last one of them. So, you know, subscribe and like, hope you enjoyed the video. It's not just the here and now that has sparked me to create this video, because, you know, there's tension now in both teams, RB, should I say, and Red Bull. And it's not just the drivers. Christian Horner has been under some certain allegations that might put him in prison for life. And Helmut Marko has had his fair share of looking and staring at kids throughout their junior careers. But as I said, it's not just 2024 where drivers, issues, stuff like that. Because in the past, you know, the whole multi-21 Seb Weber situation.
Stop there for number 2 driver. Cheers.
Vettel was always favoured, let's be real. Weber was always disrespected, and, you know, it was just there. He was a pawn in a king's game. There was also the whole situation between Albon, Gasly, this, that, and the other. And let's not forget that Nick de Vries had a shorter career in Formula 1 than Mazepin's first race. Yeah, that ended pretty quickly. So I guess we have to start with a certain driver that has sparked my curiosity of how, you know, up Red Bull is. And that is the big shitter himself, Daniel Ricciardo. This year he's been a bigger disappointment than Alpine. But let's be real, no one really cares about Alpine because it's Alpine and they have no fans. Now, back in Ricciardo's heyday, 2015, and let's not forget, the Renault times were also quite good. He was flying, he was on fire. That guy was, you know, he was good. He was good.
I'm a high-performance athlete. Athletes sweat. Sweat, baby. Sweat, sweat.
What?
But ever since 2021, it seems like he's fallen off a cliff. It seems like Mazepin's DNA of driving has been transferred into Ricciardo, and Ricciardo can't score any good points to save his F1 career. It ended once at the end of 2022, where Piastri stole his seat, and then it nearly ended in Zandvoort in 2023. And yet again, it was Piastri again who nearly ended his career. He recovered from his injury on his hand, and, you know, he scored a decent, solid P4 in Mexico, but that's pretty much it. One good race, and that was all there was to show. Now, I'd be lying if I were to say that I wasn't hyped at the start of the 2024 season like a little girl going on a merry-go-ride. Like, I was buzzing. I thought Daniel Ricciardo easily, you know, with the rate of them progressing, I thought Ricciardo was easily going to score a podium in like the first 5 races of the season. But no, my guy can't score a point, a singular point. His whole entire career is on the line. Just score a single point and you're fine. But no, my guy cannot do that at all.
Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
In the race, he's literal minutes off of Yuki, and in quali as well. Literal seconds off of Yuki. No, that's more of an exaggeration. But he's a decent ways off of Yuki Tsunoda. And yes, Yuki Tsunoda is Yuki Tsunoda, so yeah. He joined RB AlphaTauri, whatever you want to call it, in hopes of getting to the Red Bull seat, in hopes of replacing Perez once and for all. Because Perez hasn't won a race in like over a year in the most dominant car ever. It's like handing someone the mark scheme in an exam and then failing to copy down everything that's on the mark scheme.
Failure! Failure! You're still a failure! Failure! I can smell the failure!
That's what Perez is doing, failing in the most dominant car of all time. Can't even score a podium. Can't even score any solid good points, get into Q3. And now in Melbourne, a P5? So at this point, I've given up on Ricciardo, like I've given up on Mercedes being able to develop a good car, because that's not happening anytime soon. And I think that's a pretty nice and swift transition for us to talk about Sergio Perez. Seems like Red Bull just offer out contracts to drivers if they have one good solid performance in Formula 1. Nick de Vries, he gets like a P9 in Monza in a Williams. There's straight line speed for days. They strapped a NASA rocket to the rear of that car.
Fast as fuck, boy!
And that's how, you know, it was fast on the straights. Literal it. Monza, zero talent needed on that track. Just press down the accelerator, press down the brake, turn, and Nick de Vries got a seat in Formula 1 because of it. That's the same with Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. They both crash out of the race. Sergio Perez is P20, calls his way back up to P1. Kind of lucky, let's be real. No, it was a pretty nice drive.
Nice.
But still, one good race result, and that earns him the seat in Red Bull. One of the most rest seats in Formula 1. It's not on, that's just not how it's meant to be. In 2021, he was like 6 or 7 tenths off in quali compared to Verstappen. And in the race, let's not even talk about it, it wasn't even close.
Not even close, baby!
2022, he crawled it back slightly, but still a fair ways off. And 2023, the most dominant car in history. Max Verstappen managed to win 19 races out of 22. And Sergio Perez, too. Races where Verstappen was winning by literal minutes, Sergio Perez was just dilly-dallying in the back, not even getting into Q3 on some occasions. Alex Albon nearly had more Q3 appearances than Sergio Perez in a slow-ass Williams. Representing Alex Albon, you know, Alex Albon through and through. But anyways, a Williams which doesn't have any downfalls and you can't turn the car unless you're going 3 miles an hour into the corner on apex and on exit. And somehow Perez still managed to be slower than that.
How?
Honestly, I'd need a genie to tell me how that's possible because it's somewhat in my mind, I just can't figure it out. In equal machinery in Bahrain in 2024, he was like 23 seconds slower across the whole race than Verstappen. That's like, what, half a second per lap slower? Equal machinery, same car, same everything. It's just like, how are you that shit? Jeddah was slightly better, but then Australia rocks around and, you know, things surely go better for Checo. Knowing his history in Australia, I guess not. Because in 2023, he spent more time in the gravel or on the grass than on the actual racetrack. And guess what? Max Verstappen in 2024, he DNFs out of the Australian Grand Prix. Surely that means that Perez scraps up the remaining points and gets an easy win. But no, he can't even get on the podium. My guy finishes like P5 and calls that a day. He's happy about that, and no one else is. Christian Horner doesn't like him. Verstappen doesn't like him. The fans don't like him. Nobody likes him. He's just there taking up a good solid Red Bull seat, which with a good driver, we could have a good solid championship battle. But with Perez in the seat, he's closer to being on 0 points than actually close to Verstappen. And now that Ricciardo has pretty much single-handedly ended his career for like the 3rd time, he is not going to be in that Red Bull seat. And that means that either Perez is going to keep his seat for the 2025 season, which would be a big shame, or Yuki takes it and the gap is even bigger, Yuki and Verstappen. It's just a lose-lose situation now. And speaking of Yuki Tsunoda, I think it's time we switch over and talk about him. Because in his first couple seasons in Formula 1, let's be real, he was worse than Logan Sargent.
Bada bop boom pow.
Frauded his way into a P4 in Abu Dhabi in 2021. You know what? Fair enough. But that wasn't the only interesting thing happening in 2021 Abu Dhabi, now was it?
Michael, this isn't right.
Dominated by Pierre Gasly in 2021, dominated by Pierre Gasly in 2022. And 2023 rocks around, things change. Is he better? Has he just installed a new software update and gained himself like +5 tenths? Or was Nick de Vries that much of a shitter that he didn't know how to finish a race in any decent style? It's like if you put Logan Sargent up against Mazepin, Logan Sargent would seem like an absolute Greek god fallen from the sky. He's insane. But if you put him against Alex Albon, yet again, represent Alex Albon, Logan Sargent is a shitter. Now, is this happening with Yuki and de Vries and Ricciardo? I don't know, because at the moment, Yuki and the whole Red Bull family is probably Red Bull's #1 choice based on performance. But is it honestly a good idea to put Yuki in the seat, knowing that he hasn't had a good teammate in like 3 years? And when he did have a good teammate in Liam Lawson arguably was better than him in his first couple races ever in Formula 1. So I really do wish the best for Yuki, but do I think that if he does get a seat in Red Bull, he will be absolutely dominated, slapped up, pummeled into the ground like a Cherokee drum by Max Verstappen, like he's done to literally every single one of his teammates? or will he thrive and be better than Perez? And then of course there's Max Verstappen, who rages more on the radio than Yuki Tsunoda, which is sometimes seems impossible. But crying over DRS in Spain whilst you're like, what, 15 seconds ahead of everyone? Kind of pathetic. And then your car DNFing in Australia? Wow, shame on you. You should feel ashamed. That is awful. No, being real, Verstappen really doesn't have any flaws. He's just the GOAT at the moment. That's all there is to say. He's just the best. That's it. He's not losing his seat unless he wants to retire, which I guess early retirement is kind of cool, but I don't see that happening for a while unless Red Bull absolutely produces a dogshit car, just like Mercedes did in 2022. I think we also have to give Liam Lawson an honourable mention because he's stirring the pot. He's making sure that everything is spicy.
My lips are hurt.
Do we have ice?
And if Ricciardo keeps his whole bad form throughout this season, let's be real, Ricciardo's going to be replaced mid-season at the end of the season by Liam Lawson. And soon enough, Liam Lawson is going to be Verstappen's teammate. And we'd love to see that, wouldn't we? In the minimal races he spent in Formula 1 as a reserve driver, he was absolutely on it from the get-go, just like Bottas was when he had that 0.04 second reaction time, literally from the get-go, from the green lights, on the get-go.
What?
So yeah, hope to see Liam Lawson in the sport very, very soon. And that will be soon because Ricciardo, he isn't fixing up, let's be real. And I know there's going to be some of you who are going to keep on complaining in the comments, biggest Ricciardo hater, biggest Ricciardo. You don't like Ricciardo, do you? No. Ricciardo is one of, if not my favorite drivers of all time. Kid is literally on my wall, up there. I took it down because, you know, some of you wouldn't believe me because I trash on Ricciardo so much. But, you know, he has to be trashed on when he's doing absolutely dog shit. Like Alex Albon back in 2020, my guy was getting absolutely flamed. But now, look at him. Revived his career. But the thing is with Ricciardo, he single-handedly ruined his own career nearly twice, nearly 3 times even. And he's not recovering. He's not recovering. And just a solid rest in peace for Daniel Ricciardo and his career because that shit is not coming out the grave because it's 6 foot deep in a casket. Yeah, no one really cares anymore. Anyway, in the comments, let me know what you guys thought of the video and who do you think is going to be in Red Bull in the foreseeable future and RB because things are going to change shortly, I think. Whilst you're there, you might as well subscribe and like. I don't know why you wouldn't because just do it, please. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video and have a good day. Peace.